The next step is, this is kind of smooth, even though this one looks like it comes already with some kind of scored somehow, but never trust on that. What I do is I run this is 220. It doesn't have to be 220, but this is what I have, so that's what I use. And then I scuff it up. Just one. The other one's in here. Once I have it scuffed up, I bought a couple different glues. This one's called Stick Fast Instant Adhesive. It's a CA medium, and this is what I use on the inserts. You don't have to use this specifically. You can use any other glue. I have this other one that I bought. It's called Super Bond, triple distilled CA also, and this one came with this CA plus activator. The activator makes it dry instantly, and this is the stuff that I use for the finish. And I'll put about anywhere between 3 to 5 coats, maybe 6 coats of this, and let it build up, and then I'll sand it back down to it and then polish it. So for now, we're going to use this for the insert. And I've got all this stuff on eBay, so it dries up over here. Might have to put something. I need to open it up. Hold on. And this is what I use to open it up. Once it dries up like that, I found this to work pretty good for me. Kind of stick it in the tip right there and drill it out by turning it. As I turn it, it goes in more till you get it past that dried up part. There we go. The next thing I do is I don't get a bunch of glue everywhere. This I don't think needs to have that much glue. I've seen some people they'll put it all over this, and ones I've done and they have not come apart, and I just put a little bit right down the middle here, and I let it drip towards the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. If I put too much, there we go. And then on the other side, put a little bit right there on the end. Once you got some in there, the problem with putting too much is that it could drip into the inside of your tube, of your insert. Once you got it in there, you get your insert and you turn it as you put it in, and then run it a little bit past the edge. That's it. Right there. So you got some excess here. If you got a paper towel, you wipe it off with a paper towel. I don't have one here on hand. So that's it. As long as you're beneath the edge, you're good here. Beneath the edge, so I'm gonna have to take off a lot over there. Let me see if I can push it down a little bit more. That's already glued in there. So we'll do the other one. Same way. Should do it right there. Just don't want any inside the tube. If it's inside the tube, it could affect your, when you go to mount the bushings. So bushings need to go in there. The next step is to bring out the beast of lathe that I have. What I do is I like these zip blocks because you can put them on and take them off, and they're great for locking stuff like this, and I always lock the key to it. Otherwise, it's going to get lost. So I'm going to move this over into place. I'm going to start with the top first. And you see right here, got the top, the bushing. And the bushing is going in tight because I must have got some glue here. But I think it'll be all right. It may even help to keep it all stabilized. These mandrels that I made, you can see they wear the wear here from this part right here. And this part here has got a little bearing there, which is about shot. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. It starts getting really hot and steaming up every once in a while. And all the spots you see here, this is from the CA glue. And if you got anything laying around when you're doing that CA glue for a finish, it gets slung all over the place. And anything that you got laying around, any nice tools or anything, it's going to get CA glue over it. So make sure you have nothing around that area when you get ready to use that. So when this sometimes starts to slip, what I do is I wet it, and that expands the grain, and I have more to bite onto. Like right here, it slipped and it ate away the edge. So put this in place, and this guy one is shorter than the others, and that's where I put that. Right there. Should be pretty much centered. All right, so I got that in place. Now next thing I do is I check, make sure that this is not going to hit when I turn it on. Once I got plenty of room there, we'll tighten this up. All right, so we'll turn it on, and over here I got a slight vibration. But that's because of my mandrel. They're not very perfect. So you can tighten it a little bit here. Not too much. That's about as good as it's going to get for me. I'm not recommending you go buy these tools because these are very inexpensive, cheap tools. You got to constantly sharpen them. But, you know, if you have nothing else, and this is what I had on hand, so this is what I'm using. I wasn't about to go spending money on any tools. But if you're going to buy some tools, buy some decent ones. When it comes to tools, you always want to have the best possible. I got these free, so it didn't cost me anything, so that's why I'm using these. But buy something decent, especially if you're going to buy a big lathe and all that. I don't recommend using these small tools on a big lathe either. So get you something that's hefty. Let's start this thing, get it going, see what's happening. So in the beginning here, what you want to do is take off just a little bit at a time. If you try to take off too much, it's going to lock up or jam up. So I take about quarter inch, and wear it down just a little bit at a time. So you can see a square, and then over here where I cut some out with a chisel, and we just starting to round it off. So let's take a little bit before you get it rounded. I'm gonna get to that, and then I'll come back to you. All right, so I got most of this. Well, I got all the squareness out of it, and it's completely round. And now what I'm doing here is I'm taking it down to the diameter of this bushing, and what I want to do is bring it down to that diameter, and then I work it across. If I want to leave it oval, I'll leave it oval here and then work it across and then bring it back down over here. If I want to do concaved, which I don't recommend and I haven't tried, because you can go too far in and get to the insert. You don't want to do that. But if you wanted to go concave, this would be the point where you would want to start doing that. Now, one of the things you got to take into consideration is the fitting that you're going to put here on the top. If you leave it too big over here, the fitting's not going to be straight. It'll be crooked. So I take down quite a bit, and I just leave a slight angle here and here. Or you can just go straight all the way across. And if you go straight all the way across, that's not going to give you any problems. This is the back piece that I'm using. So you can see here that if I make it too round, this clip is not gonna fit on there right. So this pen actually asks for pretty much a straight back. I might just leave just a little bit, but straight is probably the way to go. So once you're happy with the shape you've given it, now mine doesn't match the mandrel perfectly because this thing is kind of wobbly, but I went a little bit past the mandrel here and on this side of the mandrel, on the opposite side. So that should center it pretty much. This side is a little bit better. You can see over here I scratched into the mandrel a little bit. But now the next step is to sand it down. And we need a little bit of piece of sandpaper, and we'll start with 220. And you can see right here where I went in deeper, or the mandrel, the bushing is keeping me from getting to it. And it's going to do a bunch of lines this way, so you want to keep it moving. Line side, keep it moving this way, back and forth. Once you got it down smooth, then you go to the next grade and bring it down. I'll bring it down to like 1500 to where you don't see no lines. And I bought this. This is a micro mesh, and this goes from 1500 to 12,000. And this is what's going to make the difference in the finish at the end, whether it's a professional finish or you know, rough finish. So each one of these has a different color, and I'll start with the roughest one first, and I'll work my way down. When it's bare wood like this, I don't wet it. I put it on dry, because if you wet it, the wood's gonna get wet and it's gonna race up the grain, unless that's what you want to do, but I don't recommend it. So once I put the CA glue on there and I put a couple of coats, and then what you have is it's a glue finish, then you can wet it, I guess. I don't wet it, but you could wet it at that point and get even I guess the wetting is just to keep your sanding pad clean. So let's get to that. Go sanding with the grain gets rid of those lines a lot faster.